Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're still focusing on the 52 weeks series to subcontract success for 2025. And in this session, we're going to talk about my personal journey from soldier to small business owner, my journey. And, I'm just keeping it basic and simple, but I'm trying to give you a framework that it can be done. You can do it. It's achievable. It's just you got to put the work in, and just kind of giving you some steps on how I did it. My goal is to empower small business and government contract. My goal is to show you it can be done. And I'm Lakeisha Foster, GovCon coach and founder of Key to Life Professional Services. And what I set out to do was start the business so I could help small businesses to navigate this journey in government contracting. Who am I? A military veteran with over 22 years of experience, founder of Key to Life Professional Service, and an advocate for small business and government contracting. And why I share this story is to inspire others to make similar transitions, share lessons learned, actionable tips. Now, key challenges that I faced transitioning to civilian business. Now, being in the military for over 22 years, I had become a custom way of life, having my uniform, doing the battle rhythm that I learned, but adapting to civilian business practices was a little bit different. We had a structured way of doing things. And when I moved over to the civilian sector, it was a little bit different, different challenges to face because things that we would have to get it done mandatorily. It wasn't the same way in the civilian sector. It was a little bit different. So then building my professional network outside the military, in the military, we have the hierarchy, the customs and courtesies, and, you did all your camaraderie and meet and greets together. But in the civilian sector, it was totally different. You would send emails, no one would respond. You would try to get in touch with people. No one really seemed to care about that. So that's one of the challenges that I faced when I navigated over. And I'm telling you, transitioning to civilian life and starting a busy business was not easy. I faced many challenges, but those experiences taught me valuable lessons that I want to share with you. And one of the most important milestones in my journey was when I started generating income and I could quit my job. That was the most pivotal part of it all, was when I was able to finally say, okay, now I can work full-time my business. And now I had more control of my time. I had more control and flexibility to go on trips with my family, to be able to spend more time with my grandchildren and my children. It just gave me such peace. And then I was still generating income for my family. And for those of you who are looking to make a similar transition, this video's for you. Okay, so the 52 weeks subcontracting success for 2025 journey is going to be a series. And if you missed that video, please go back and check the video one for we'll just put it in the notes section for you, because we don't want you to have to look for it. I advocate for small business and government contracting because I've been on the other side. I was the one writing the contracts. I was the one talking with the small businesses and identified a lot of things that was some of the small businesses challenges. They were not educated. They were not submitting the documents like they were supposed to. They were going after opportunities that they were not ready for. So I learned along the way that it's important that we be careful and that we learn the rules of the game. And so I hope that this will inspire you and any of you who subscribe to my channel, or we welcome you to subscribe, making similar transitions, that this will be a guide for you. And then also I would like to share lessons learned and some actionable tips to really help you along the way. So now key challenges I faced when I was transitioning, adapting to civilian business practices. Military has a different structure. So even in organizations, so you be coming from an employee mindset to an employer mindset, that is totally different. And I have so many small businesses still have that employee mindset, but you have to transition from employee mindset to employer mindset, because now you're responsible for paying your taxes. You're responsible for paying your employees. You're responsible for making sure the payroll goes out. Sometimes you won't get paid. All your people on the team get paid and you're not paid. So that's why it's important that you have to learn the rules of the game. And then actually, once you find those gaps and those weaknesses, then you got to put a plan together on how you're going to improve them. And then building your professional network outside the military, we were commanded to do everything. We already knew the commander, the first sergeant, all the high executives and all that. We had the doors open to us. Well, now in the contracting sector and the civilian sector, you got a lot of gatekeepers. They're not letting you in. All those things you used to have, you don't have anymore. Now you happen to really know how to network and build those relationships. And then navigating the government contracting space as a business owner. I was a contracting officer, contracting specialist, procurement counselor. But as a business owner, those are different skills that you have to learn. You having to do totally different things before. Like I said, you had all the doors open to you because you were government, but now you're coming in as a contractor. You're transitioning from employee to subcontractor or prime contractor. That's a totally different idea. Skill set, totally different business acumen, everything. And then lessons I learned was resilience and adaptability. You got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to change. You got to be able to maneuver. There's so many things that you'll have to do to be successful in the government marketplace, because it's not easy. Okay. And then the importance of mentorship and support. When I first got started, I was at the Apex Accelerator, which was formerly Maryland PTAC. And Apex Accelerator, all things government contracting. But the thing is, it's a nonprofit organization. Everybody's trying to get into that program. So there are long waits to get with your counselor. And then when you talk to your counselor, then it's another long wait to get back with your counselor, because so many small businesses are utilizing those programs. And I always recommend that you need to be proactive in your skills development, and you have to be proactive with your planning, because no one's going to give you anything. You're going to have to work for it. Just like in basic training, can't nobody run for me. I had to run for myself. I wasn't good at running, so I had to learn how to get good at it. I had to keep practicing, make perfect. Okay. And then, so I went to the SBA, the Small Business Administration. I read everything on their pages. I did everything my counselor told me to do. And I grew my business. And then one day I wanted to give back. So I went to work for the Apex Accelerator for over 2 years, working with over 300 small businesses, learning the rules and teaching them what I learned and helping them. And once I put that work in, then I went back to working because you can't neglect your business. You can help all the small businesses in the world, but if you do not keep your small business, and then you're not there to manage your day-to-day operations, you're not managing your team, then your business is going to fail. So that's why I tell you, it's important to have that mentorship. And then you have the programs out there for SCORE. You have the Veteran in Procurement. That's the VIP for veterans. You have the VBOC. There's so many programs out there. And I'll discuss that in later videos. And I've discussed it before, but I like to refresh the content every year to make sure everything is update, nothing has shut down. Maybe the program has shifted because the Apex Accelerator had moved as well under the Office of Small Business Programs. So that's why it's important that you understand the nuances of the different programs, and they are out there for you. The Small Business Development Center, all those programs are out there to help you grow your small business. So let's keep going. So milestones achieved. I always tell people if you don't track it, you're not going to measure it. If you don't understand, because we'll think, oh, I did this, I did that, but actuality you did nothing, or you've done so many things and then you become discouraged because you wasn't tracking all of the things that you should be tracking. So for instance, 2010, I decided, I said, oh, you know what, I've always had a dream to own my own business, but I went into the military because that's the Lord, the path the Lord put me on. So I was determined to walk it. So I trained, but while I was in the military, it just fell on me as I was going through. I was learning, came in as a private and worked my way all the way up to a command sergeant major. And I never thought I was going to do that. I was going to stay in 4 years and get out, but it didn't happen that way because I needed those skills. And, when I first got started, I started off in logistics and I learned it. I became the best supply sergeant there was, first the specialist. And, I just kept making my way up. And then I became the sergeant and then the senior sergeant. And then, just keep going on. I deployed 5 times, learning my craft, doing on the job training, all those different things so I could be the best at my job. But then I got stopped. I was an E7, that's a sergeant first class in the Army, and we couldn't get promoted. And I was one of those people who was like, oh no, I will not get promoted. I will transition. I'll figure out something else. And then I heard about the acquisition corps and I was contracting. And I was like, oh, this is marketable. This is a good skill I can use when I get out the military. So let me try it out. So I transitioned from regular Army to the Army Reserve and joined the Army Acquisition Corps. That was the best thing I could ever do because I didn't get completely out because I didn't want to lose. I needed steady revenue. And the key insights is that you have to have steady revenue, because if you don't have steady revenue, then you're going to have that anxiety. How am I going to pay my bills? You just can't go from active duty, having a paycheck on the 1st and the 15th of every month. That you pay for your dental, medical, all that comes out your check. Then you get a stipend for your living expenses. You get a stipend for travel. All these things you get, and then you want to transition all the way from active duty to nothing. No, I knew, and it was something in me, and I know it was nobody but God. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not a religious person, but I am spiritual. And I don't, some people take it the way they do. That's up to them. But I believe God directs our path and he shows us which way we go, because when it's really hard, he's telling you. And sometimes people say, well, it's really hard because he wants you to go that way. No, when he's telling you, because you get that feeling, that uneasiness feeling telling you it's time to shift. When it's just hard, it's hard. Okay, yeah, I'm good. You get up, you do it all over again. But it's that feeling that you feel inside is telling you, okay, it's time for you to transition. And that's the feeling I had. I knew I had a purpose and I knew it was something I needed to do, but I needed the education. And then by me staying on in the military, that kept me employment history. You can't get a line of credit without a job. You can't get the different business accounts or different things like that without having some revenue, because you haven't started generating money with your business yet. So it would make sense to keep a little. I've heard so many people, oh, I just quit my job. Okay, well, I get it. You quit your job. That was the path you were destined to take. But for me, I had a family, I had children, a husband. I was not going to put all that burden on my husband. I was there to assist him. So I did the transition. So from 2011 to 2020, I had to learn a new skill. So the key thing is right then, you're not going to get any clients. You too busy learning your new skill. You too busy doing your training. So that's why it was important that I stayed in, because I had that revenue. I could ask for active duty orders. I could ask for to go on a mission or TDY or something like that. And that will supplement my income while I was still learning a skill. Then I got deployed several times. So then when you deploy, you got to let your clients know, hey, I'm leaving. Because you don't even have a team yet. Some people are lucky. They come in, they have partners, they have already people on the team. I was a solopreneur. I was all alone because I was determined to build a business. And if I had to build it from scratch by myself, I was determined to do that. So then I learned the skill. I kept going. I didn't stop. Because so many times we'd be like, oh, it's hard. And it was hard learning a new craft. It was hard learning contracting. You had to learn so much contract clauses, all the FAR clauses, the Federal Acquisition Regulation. It was just, and then working while you're trying to do the purchase orders, you're trying to do service and supplies. It was just a lot. So it was a lot of learning, a lot of training, but it was worth everything. So then after I learned my skill, I got back from my last deployment, well, one of my deployments in 2015, I was decided this time I'm going to start my business. And so I started the business part-time, because you can't start it full-time when you have so many things in the bucket. So I started the business in 2016. So the key insights from that one was legacy. I wanted to leave something for my children, and I wanted control of my time. I wanted to be able to hire my children if I wanted to, or people I knew who were good, who had skills, who had the training that I needed to build a successful business. So I knew I wanted to do those things. So then 2017 to 2019, now the foundational roles to manage and scaling a business. You're learning again. You're in that learning phase again, learning and training. Oh, look. Oh, I spelled that one wrong. So that's learning and training. Okay, so my apologies, because I was trying to get these slides out here. But learning and training. Okay. And then once you did the learning and training, then next thing you had to do, while I was learning and training, I had to take a break. I got deployed again. I received deployment orders, and I had to inform my clients that I was leaving. So I had to scale all the way back, only doing delegation. I had to delegate a lot to my assistant and my team, because at that time I had a very small team, because I was still growing. I was still in the growing phase. I was still in the building, if you will, phase. And I was not ready to scale, because it was still a lot of things I had to learn. There was still a lot of things I did not know about growing and scaling a business. Then I couldn't keep employees, good employees. You can keep them, employees who doesn't take pride in their job, but getting a good employee, it was because you have to be able to pay them. And then, so in the beginning, you're still trying to build up your cash flow. So that was challenged. So I had to have systems in place. And that was one of the hardest things, of putting those systems in place. But it taught me, I'm glad I did start putting systems in place, because I don't think I would have been able to keep my business running had I not had those systems in place and not had team members. And that's why I say many people do want to just build a small team. You don't need, not everybody wants to have a big business. Some people actually want a small business, just sustainable, to sustain their lifestyle, so they can live the way they want to live and on their terms. So it's not for everybody to scale. I'm planning to stay small intentionally, because I like the fact that I can go on vacation. I like the fact that I can take time out and be with my family, and not always on the grind. I've done that for over 22 years with the military. I had this phase of my life, as I get older, is I want to use that one more for me. So that phase of my life on the grind, 24/7, working 7 days a week and all that, it's not for me. So that's why I always tell people, you have to do what's for you in the phase of your life. Because right now I'm in the phase of, okay, now I have grandchildren. I have children that need me to help. And so we can raise up the next generations of good soldiers. And that's what I always told them when I was raising my kids, as me and my husband, when we were trying to raise the children. It was hard when I was on active duty, but I knew I was raising the next generation of soldiers. So I had to put time in them. And they'll tell you, sometimes the military, they don't mean to, but sometimes they'll be like, you have to put your family over. No. It's a balance, because you're raising the next generation of soldiers. So you have to balance. Some days the military gonna take more of your time. Some days the family gonna take more time. It's your role, your job is to manage it. That's the key. And that's how I was able to stay so long and raise up wonderful children who all went into the military, Air Force, Navy, and the Marines. And of course, I'm Army. So I have that testament, because I learned at a young age that it's important that I cultivate my family as well as my career. And I had to, some days the balls did drop, but then I went back and some of them was glass, but I just kept going. You just don't give up. You keep going. You keep going. You don't just, oh, I had a problem, I give up. And it's that people, too many people have that attitude nowadays. I'm just going to give up. But then you're giving up on everything. You're giving up on your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. Is it worth it? So I digress. Let me stay focused. All right. So now, then 2021 to 23, I needed to learn more skills. I was stuck. I still couldn't break my threshold. My mindset was still set at a certain dollar. Maybe I didn't feel worthy. I don't know. But the simple fact of what is, I was stuck. So what I did again, I went to go to some training. And then for 2 years, all I did was learn about scaling your business, training and learning. And then once I learned all those things, I started applying them toward my business, just keeping applying everything that I've learned. Okay, now I've applied what I learned. Now I'm working on process improvement. And then this year, so then to 2024, became the GovCon coach, consultant, subject matter expert of acquisition. And then I just kept applying everything I learned to see, is what I was learning applicable? Had it changed? Is it still relevant to small businesses? So that way they can scale. And then in 2025, this year, God has been good to me. I'm able to create this series, this 52-week series on helping small businesses do exactly what I did, helping the community, giving back. I was able to start the Subcontractor Academy. I'm a coach. I'm constantly doing things that's going to build our community, keeping everything affordable for small business, as well as being able to pay my bills. Because many times they were like, well, can you give it to me for free? But the thing is, if you give it to them for free, how are you gonna pay your bills? So you gotta balance that. You gotta see what's your break even. Okay, how much do I need to make on this product? And do I need to charge astronomically, or do I just need to charge a nominal fee, so that way I can keep all my bills paid plus contribute to the community? It has to be a win-win. It has to be a win-win for it to be sustainable. It's not sustainable if you're giving everything away for free, because you can't pay your bills. You can't help your children. You can't pay off your debt. You understand? So everybody's in this walk of this game called life, and we happen to do the things we need to do to be better. And then the last thing, because I don't want to keep the video too long, my advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, business owners: leverage your strength. Start where you are. So many people want to get a new skill. They want to start where you are. I was in acquisition and contracting. So that's where I started with my business. Start where you are. You have people that have been in IT all these years and they want to switch over to real estate. Okay, well, you ain't gonna make no money, because first of all, you got to learn the job first. You got to learn all the things that you should have grew up learning in that field, because you're not going to learn everything as soon as you just go to class. A lot of stuff is learned through practical exercise, through applying it. So use the skills that you've been learning, and then you can pivot and add little pieces to the program. So just like me, I start off with acquisition, but then I wanted to take on some project management tasks, right? Project management. So then I would hire on someone with project management skills and stuff like that. And then we can go after more contracts. That's how you pivot. And then they'll teach you, you teaching, everybody's learning. And then while they doing that, you can go to school. You can take up the program management, PMI, or whatever you need to do. But that's how you do it. Seek mentorship. Learn from those who've already succeeded. I love watching Neil McDonough. He is so inspirational. He's teaching small businesses to do what he's already done, and he's built successful businesses. And my mentors, Joshua Frank and Mike LeJune, where I work as a coach. I've learned, so I go get business coaches, and then also my other female entrepreneurs, CCG, Capital Consulting, all the different places, and the acquisition, all the different ones that I've watched. It's just so many, and people that I've worked with over the years that really made it really helpful to learn so much from. And my last project that I worked on, I learned so much from working for this organization, this small business company. They were doing wonderful things. It's just, do you align and do you stay there? Or is it on the same path that you're trying to take? And it just wasn't on the same path that I was on. And because I want to stay small on purpose so I can have that flexibility and control of my time and my schedule because of the different things that embark. And then start small. Think big, but start small. Focus on the small wins to build momentum. And then utilize those resources. Like I said, the SBA, Apex, accelerators, they have them all over. So make sure you use the one that's in your location, the Small Business Development Center, all those things. And believe me, go to the networking events. That's how I got my teaming partners. I've got so many teaming partners from just attending the networking events. And then after you go to the networking events, then I also got subcontracting work for those network events. So, I mean, it's true that you can meet your next team and partner at those events. And that's all I have for this episode. See you in the next video. Let's talk about the importance of having a coach. A coach challenges you, keeps you accountable, and helps you unlock your full potential. And as a GovCon coach, this is exactly what we do for our small businesses. We provide guidance, strategies, and support needed to navigate the complex world of government contracts. And together is how you reach new heights. And the best athletes out there know this: the Simone Biles, the Shakira Richardsons, the Serena Williams. So if you feel like you are ready to take it to the next height, join the group coaching program. Take care now.